this now. Government has once again extended the grace period for the renewal of driver's licenses. Now, those with expired licenses have until March next year to renew this. Some good news there if you are a driver in South Africa or in Gauteng. Of course, the initial deadline was actually just tomorrow, and if that had stayed the same, unfortunately, you weren't going to be able then to, drive on the road without law enforcement stopping you and wanting to know what exactly happened. I had this conversation previously with the MEC of Transport, Mr. Mamabolo, and we weren't sure at the time whether or not National Department of Transport would actually extend that grace period. We saw the announcement by Transport Minister, that is, of course, Fikile Mbalula. And what does this mean for you and I? That's exactly what we will be discussing this very morning, particularly when we focus on Gauteng as a province. There were issues which the Automobile Association also had raised around systems failing, etc. But of course, the MEC is here with us to clarify some of those details for us. Well, MEC Mamabolo, thank you for your time and good morning to you.
Good morning to you, to all the viewers. Thank you very much for the opportunity.
Yeah. It's always a pleasure talking to you, especially around these issues, because I remember when we last spoke, we weren't certain whether we'll get this grace period or extension or not. This is good news for those who couldn't get those days, and you bring them here just to further elaborate. What does this extension mean? We know it's for until next year, March.
Firstly, let me just express an appreciation for our Honourable Minister, for extending the grace period and bringing great relief to the people of the whole country, but most importantly for us here in Gauteng. And for us moving forward, just after the 31st, we will kick in a set of support measures to make sure that people that were not able to renew their driver's licenses are supported to do that, so that by the time end of March come next year, we would have resolve the issue of those that can't get slots.
Right. MEC, I know you're talking about some of the centres which will be focusing on the driver's license and testing centres, but also with regards to, eye tests. Give us some of those details for those who have missed that, announcement by the Minister.
So the long and short of the announcement is that so there will be an extension, but on top of that, remember, we have been raising as a province the fact that the equipment and machinery that is being used currently affects the number of slots we can allocate. So Minister has announced that, for example, we are now going to introduce the online verification for fingerprint, like they do in the banks, in which case people don't have to come back because more often the rejection levels of those fingerprints, it's quite high. And almost 80% of them in the DLTCs are never working because it's old, obsolete technology. We have also seen the announcement that, optometrists will be engaged to get eye test certificates. And RTA, the Road Traffic Management Corporation, has said the scanning of the ID or your driver license is no longer necessary, because it sits on the system, on the eNCA system. What does that mean? It means we can now issue more slots because the capacity in the back office to service people is there, or will be there with the RTMC bringing in those innovations. The other most important issue for us is, remember, we're working with 40 DLTCs, driver license and testing centers. And we are now very pleased that, Minister has also announced that in Gauteng we'll be introducing 2 additional, as DLTCs. They will be working up to 9 o'clock in the evening, from morning to 9 o'clock in the evening. And one of them was announced on Friday. It was unveiled to the public on Friday. Just this week, we will be announcing another one, which will be in Midrand. So there's one in the city of Tshwane, there's one in the city of Joburg. And what we all needed for them to start working, it's to gazette them for the public, showing the address where they are located. So that we are doing today with the government printing works. The last point is that, remember, Minister announced also that there will be an email address system, and today I'm very much pleased to announce that we have already created an email system where members of the public, if you can't find a slot, we have created an easy way for you to get a slot, and that's why we have an email address, request a slot at gpg.gov.za or request a slot at rtmc.co.za, or alternatively, we have an online natis.gov.za.
Okay.
In that, you'll find an icon, you request a slot. Why are we doing this?
Why?
We have had 130,000 people that were given slots. They didn't take up the slots.
Okay.
So now, those people did not ask for the slots. We gave them up front.
Okay.
So now we are saying, because people were not taking the slots, probably a person who asked for a slot will take it if given than a person who didn't ask for it. So that's why we have got these measures, and we hope members of the public will respond positively and request a slot.
I'm sure they will, MEC, because it looks like you're also looking at a system change, not just, you know, a touch and go of constantly extending
Yes,
a grace period, but also a system change. Well, thank you so much, MEC Jacob Mamabolo of Transport, for joining us this morning, bringing some good news to Gauteng. If you're a resident and you need that driver's license change, well, guess what? You can do it, but do it better, according to government. But that's where we leave it. We'll have your headlines at the top of the hour.